Hello, I'm Daniel Brint, and I'm going to talk about why we might want to focus on genre conventions when reading fiction with our students. The question I'd like to discuss is, what do students gain from understanding genre conventions? In fact, many genre conventions are already familiar to students, even though it's something they're not necessarily aware of. That comes as no surprise, because those genres are part and parcel of the media world we experience on a day-to-day basis. However, taking the opportunity to explore, define, and to some extent control those conventions is a very motivating learning trajectory which lends itself to creativity. In some ways, this is what students are already doing when they play interactive video games that require problem-solving choices and decisions from which they're able to shape the narrative of their stories. That, of course, is a large part of the appeal of those kinds of games. And that degree of participation is something we can create with texts in the classroom by offering the right kinds of activities. A great activity for identifying genre is watching film trailers, as these provide a packaged or guided tour of the conventions. They also foreground plot and characterization and language associated with the themes. Dickens's Great Expectations has about 7 different film trailers made over a period of 70 years. By watching and comparing these, students are drawn into the world of the story. I choose 3 or 4 and ask students to focus on images, music, language, atmosphere, and plot information. The worksheet questions include things like, who are the most important characters? When do you think the story is set? What kind of music do we hear? Are the characters in the trailer happy or sad? After this activity, we can use the type of guided writing. This is based on a series of questions, with the questions themselves highlighting genre conventions and aspects of a particular text. In the Dickens, for example, your story takes place in A, a city, B, in a small village, C, in a school, or D, on a ship. Or the main character is helped by A, a relative, B, a stranger, C, a mysterious neighbor, D, a teacher. By discussing and choosing, students flesh out a character for their main protagonist and make plot choices which are offered from within the typical evolution of a Dickensian melodramatic plot. The same technique can be easily applied to forms such as Gothic, science fiction, fantasy, and romance. Gothic would have questions highlighting key conventions. Your story takes place in A, a castle, B, a very old house, C, a church, D, an old hospital. Or the main characters discover A, a magical book, B, a secret tunnel, C, an old painting, or D, a box of photos, and so on. It's not by chance that I mentioned the Gothic genre and this activity. This is a very powerful form which has gone from being a minor literary experiment in the late 1700s to a ubiquitous narrative, appearing in books, the Twilight novels, for example, movies like Batman, video games and TV series, The Haunting of Hill House, to name but a few. The reason for this interest seems to be the correspondence between periods of social upheaval and personal experience. The Gothic foregrounds fear and anxiety, but becomes a safe place to experience the emotions this produces. As with the Dickensian melodrama, guided writing can have the added effect of understanding the key components of a genre, which itself creates an opportunity to reimagine or develop those same events. Thus, by working as text creators rather than passive receivers, students can choose to influence and change key aspects. The role of women, for example, traditionally in Gothic, they're victims or prey, so women become heroes. Or the outsider, fear of the unfamiliar becomes welcoming difference. In the end, knowing how something is made and constructed equips students with the tools to critique and change it, an essential life skill in the age of fake news and manipulated information. Or consider the importance of heroes in literature and fiction. There are 6 or so hero types based on literary conventions. Probably the most important of those in recent times has been the accidental hero, the ordinary person who through circumstances find themselves in a situation where they have a significant role. Most heroes at some point in a story make a speech. By reading and comparing such speeches, Katniss in The Hunger Games and her catching fire speech, and Sam Gamgee in Lord of the Rings with his great stories speech, for example, students are asked to condense the speech into a single message. Having agreed on what the key message is, on which words stand out, which phrases are most important, they prepare their own reading of the speech. Then, finally, they can see and hear the original film speech, both of which can be easily found online, and now compare how they read and stressed the text with the movie version.